So, in metaphysical biology, uh, challenging the nature of gastrointestinal, I think it's the gallbladder that activates acid release in your stomach. Um, there's a line right here, and there's a loop here. Not so much over here. There's a loop line right here that comes up, and there's an activator that you can use with robotics to stimulate that nerve to fire off in biology, in physiology of the human body. And some would use that in Catholicism, eventually Christian Science of America, or Catholicism in Russia, as a movement of suffering. But from a physiological and psychological standpoint, there are also other mechanisms regarding the Christian or government, which would be behavioral science. But to understand it at a greater point would be the negative and positive outcomes of those gastrointestinal acids generating over time, and the notion of exteriors. Something like, I have Copenhagen, and if you were to go to the factory and pull a serial number, and before it gets capped, you line it with some type of bacteria or anything else, which is very possible in America and Russia, and then you seal that, and you make sure that ID number, that serial number, ends up on the shelf for your target. Those layers have an effect on the body and all that, right? Negative and positive. So looking at it from a neuro would be worse, under worse under worse circumstances. When they challenge the nature of neurology itself, that's when shit gets dangerous and all that, like LSD, bath salts, the idea of electromotive force and nanomachines that alter your state of mind, even to the point of brain death. But for the physiological mechanisms, which is a real thing, even India does this now. Why would you? How could you look at that as a benefit? And so you look at your form. What does the activator do? What does the activator do in the body? Does it strip away the mechanisms of mucosis in the stomach lining over a period of uncontrolled time, which would be defined under the blue of America as you're sick, but we all know what's going on really? Or would it be something more expansive than that? Say that you are a capitalist who's looking at making money off of this, and so on top of the blue of America, which is the RNs in hospitals, or that of communism or Marxism in India, and how to make money on that, stacking up those levels and all that for a higher purpose in masculinity. And I just pulled up the Patriots card a minute ago and saw extreme football players are extremely busy. They're very fit, and so my physiology was extreme fitness and has now gone into another form, another form of control, and that's psychological, that's neurological, that's physiological, and your level of complacency. But right now, I'm looking at the potential capital gain from somebody looking at that on top. What would that be for them as far as masculinity or even femininity. Something as far as challenging the nature of ovaries with acids over a period of time could potentially generate more men, like temperature in the formation of a baby rather than anything else. And those things are how some companies work in the world, is layering that out. And so when you think you're on top with punishing somebody here, there's a whole nother level of capitalism up here that's building up the inverse of viscosity, where you put coffee in the water and it goes down instead of trickling up. That's how fiscal systems work. And so who on the bottom is supporting the rise of that? Or who on the bottom is supporting the downfall of that, the gravity of the situation? And that's how you learn, is from those systems. So when you challenge that, you learn.